Welcome back to the Fenway Focus. My name is Derek. I'm here with Jason. As always, a little bit of a somber mood here as we record on this Monday morning, May 5th. We have unfortunate news in terms of the fact that Triston Casas tore his left patellar tendon. That's no fun. Sucks to see injuries, and it sucks to have someone with Casas. Also, the Red Sox did not have a good week, so that also does not help. Considering that they played the Blue Jays, and then the Twins aren't terrible, but you get, I guess you could say, considering that, the sum of the stretch that they have ahead, as they move forward in the next couple weeks, it's going to be interesting to see, if the Red Sox can maybe hopefully get hot, but I think we have to start with the Casas injury. I think it's the obvious place to start. So Jason, let's just dive straight into it. Where did the Red Sox go? I think that's the best place to start. Where do they go? Because obviously they promoted Abraham Toro, which makes sense, right? But are they really going to be able to have Romy Gonzalez be their everyday first baseman for the rest of the year, especially if they want to be a playoff team?
No. You can't have that. And the Toro thing just seems temporary because he got the most reps in AAA. Now, we see, actually, I think it's a good time to say, me and Derek were we covered the Red Sox game this past Saturday, and Vaughn Grissom is probably going to be getting more reps at first base. I'll let you say what Chad Tracy said about it, but it's basically, the Toro thing is basically temporary. And Romy Gonzalez cannot play all these other games at first base. They need someone else, whether it's a veteran bat or I don't know. I don't know what they do, but I think don't be surprised if you see a Connor Wong get a lot of reps at the major league level, and them adding Yasmani Grandal to the catching rotation. Don't be shocked if that happens because Carlos Narvaez is really good right now. I just don't think it's in the Red Sox best interest to also go get another bat like an Anthony Rizzo. Not a bat, just a first baseman like Anthony Rizzo, just because he didn't have the spring training, so he'd have to ramp up. He'd have to do a bunch of these things. But I don't know, Derek. I don't know what they do from here. Casas was supposed to be your everyday first baseman, not just this season, but for the foreseeable future. And this injury only derails that and puts his future in question. It's not good. And where do they go from here? They got to play it day by day. Ideally, this would be another Dom Smith type-esque move.
God.
So
BDSM, yeah. Big Dom Smith moments. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe you hope someone like a Toro gets hot, right? We saw it when Toro got moved from Houston to Seattle in the 2022 trade deadline, was it?
Yes. No, or was it 2021? Because then they got Graveman, and he terrorized the Red Sox in the postseason.
Yeah, it might have been 20. Yeah, I think it was 21. But and then Toro just caught absolute fire for like a month there in Seattle. Maybe you can get one of those type of runs. It's difficult, right? And I know the two of us have pondered, okay, what's gonna happen. Yasmani Grandal is not gonna get any reps at first base in AAA. That's per Chad Tracy, the Red Sox manager. So that's not happening. As you did mention, Jason, Tracy did mention that Grissom would get more games at first. Obviously, Nathan Hickey's going to get a lot of run at first base, especially now with Toro not being there. So it's going to be interesting. I know Toro didn't play a ton of games at first base in Worcester, but he got a lot of the reps in spring training at first base, so that was another reason why he was the one who got moved up. Grissom's only played 4 games at first. It's also something to remember. Also, Grissom's hitting right-handed. Maybe they felt like Toro's going to give him a lefty option because,
Well, I just think it's the first base thing because Grissom only played 4 games at first base. How are you going to expect him to be the backup?
Yeah, exactly. But also, too, though, what I'm saying also, too, though, is Toro does give him a lefty option at first base. Yes, he's a switch hitter, but, which means he's going to hit lefty against right-handed pitching. So, if they do face a righty and maybe they don't want Romy to play, they can kind of flip it and bring in Toro. But we'll see how it works out, right? I don't know. Like, do I think that they can go with Romy at first base every day? Absolutely not, right? I they
Yeah.
can't. They cannot, right? Now, I think when you look at this Red Sox team, there's a lot of good, right? You have Duran, Devers, Bregman. I know Story's gotten cold, but he's still going to be your shortstop, right? Willier has been great. Christian Campbell, he's back in the lineup. He cleaned up yesterday. Uh, the catching situation has been solid this year. I know we all know Rafaela's bat isn't the best thing in the world, but the defense is always going to be there. He's always going to be a plus player with the defense, right? So there is a lot to like about the team, but there are question marks, and obviously the offensive struggles at times are potentially amplified. But like the Red Sox are top 10 in the league in batting average, on base, OPS, runs scored, home runs, and stolen bases. Like, and they're number 4 in runs scored, and they're number 2 in stolen bases. Anyone who's like calling, for example, for like Pete Fatsy to get fired, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, right?
Right.
Now, is this offense streaky? Yes, they are. They absolutely are. But at the same time, you know, if they're going to I'll put it
Well,
like this: if the Red Sox team is going to, what's the way to put it? If this is them when they're cold, what are they going to look like when they're hot? I think that's kind of the big thing. I think that's the big thing. What are they going to look like when they're hot? I think you look at the overall just structure of this team. Like, there is some built-in streakiness here with this team. Jarren Duran we've known at times he can get very streaky. I mean, we even see it. There are times where he looks like unstoppable. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He's going to get on base. He's going to steal bases. He's going to do this, going to do that, right? There are times where he does seem unstoppable. There are times when Rafael Devers has stretches where he looks like the best hitter in baseball. Alex Bregman has looked like one of the best players and one of the best hitters in baseball all season long. Um, but we know he can get on hot stretches too. And he's been an absolute heater all year long so far. We're hopefully it stays that way, but I don't know if it can. Trevor Story, we've seen the hot and cold streaks he can have. He gets really hot, then he gets really cold, then he gets really hot, then he gets really cold. It's very much a tale of two stories with Trevor Story, no pun intended. Willier, we see it with Willier, right? He can get very, very streaky. He can also struggle. I wonder if maybe them hitting in the cleanup spot, maybe it's causing him to struggle in some ways, some weird things like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just a baseball thing. Where like, oh, he's hitting in the cleanup spot, so now he's struggling. I don't know, but we've seen him get streaky before. Um, you know, Christian Campbell doesn't have a ton of time in the big leagues, and he's been very solid so far. But we'll see, right? We'll see how he's still a rookie. There's always the potential for a rookie slump. Rafaela, we know he's streaky, right? His bat's not the same level as the other guys mentioned, but he can have some really cold stretches. He can also have some hot stretches. Even Wong in some sense too. Like, the team has some built-in streakiness to them. I think that's what makes this. That's what's going to make this team really interesting. Is when they finally get hot. When this team finally gets hot, they have the pieces. But it also too sucks because, like I just mentioned, I went through the entire pretty much starting lineup for the most part. What, like 7 of your guys are streaky, or at least 6 of them between Duran, Devers, Bregman, Story, Brave, Rafaela. Right, that's 6 guys right there, and
mm-hmm.
probably in your first 5 hitters, most likely. Now, like I said, when they're hot, Duran, Devers, Bregman, Story, Willier, they're world beaters when they're hot. But when they're not, especially when a lot of them sometimes seem to get cold all at the same time, you're going to struggle to score runs. Bregman really hasn't gotten cold, but you wonder, like, how long can he hit at the clip he's hitting at? He's got a 171 weighted runs created plus. Do I think that's going to last at that number throughout the season? Probably not. Who knows? Crazier things have happened. But the stretch Bregman had last year with the Astros at the end of the year, right? He very much turned it on late, right? We've seen him get on runs. Like I said, we've seen it with Story, we've seen it with Devers, Story, and everyone. So once this lineup gets hot, I mean, it'll make the loss of Casas kind of be a little bit more easy to handle. But when your lineup's cold, and then I know Casas has struggled, but still, like, he's still your first baseman. Like, you don't have any other true first baseman on the team. You don't even have any other true first baseman on the 40-man roster,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Like,
unfortunate.
it's one of those things where you add in all the factors. If the offense was scoring 10 runs a game, it would suck that Casas got hurt, but it wouldn't be as dire as a thing to need to fill that hole with a bat that's actually, above replacement level. Now it's like, not only do Red Sox fans, not only do we want someone who, like, can play first base, but we also want someone who can hit, right? Which is an issue considering it's May 5th. Nobody's going to be out on the market that can be a legitimate, like, solid caliber first baseman. That's just not there. You'd have to trade for it, and odds are you aren't getting anything like that until closer to the trade deadline.
Yeah, and the thing is, yeah, the trade deadline is not even close. And the big thing too is I think I don't know. Like teams are gonna if you're trading for a first baseman, you're gonna be desperate, right? Like other teams are gonna say, "Oh, this guy's desperate. Let's jack up the price." Right? We saw that with the Brewers and starting pitching. They paid a heck of a lot for Quinn Priester. It was kind of one of those, wow, like you can't turn that down. It was like a top 10 prospect, a comp round A pick, and that or whatever the
Yeah,
comp pick,
compound A player.
yeah,
And then a
and
player to be
then a
named
player to
later
be
or
named
cast
later,
extras.
and a player to be named later. So I think they have to drag until the deadline with the guys they got, whether it be Abraham Toro, like you said. I really do think at the end of the day, like Cora wants to play Connor Wong, just put him at first base. Honestly, like that might be the best course of action for this team. But where do you put Romy? Well, you just cycle the guys around. Romy's not supposed to be your everyday first baseman. He's supposed to be your platoon first baseman with the lefty, but Wong is a righty. So I think you can platoon him. Uh, you can cycle around. Put Wong at first base, Narvaez at catcher. Then another day, Wong at catcher, and then Romy at first. You can do something like that. I think that's the best course of action for this team. And then you have Yasmani behind the dish too, right? Kind of here and there, getting some games. He's a switch hitter. He's better on the left side, obviously, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And yeah, and it does suck because you were relying on Casas to kind of turn it on in the second, not second half, but after April, because we all know how bad of an April he has, right? I mean, this season he in almost 100 at bats, batting 182, only 3 homers, 11 RBI, OPS plus of 64, not great. On base of 277, which he's getting his fair share of walks, but like you need to see that number higher, obviously. But let's be honest, like you can't for this lackluster of offense. You're right. You said it earlier. You can't blame Pete Fatsy for that. Like you can't. Like just because someone's streaky, this doesn't mean it's the hitting coach's problem, his fault. Their job is to adjust, help players with these adjustments. And guess what? They do make the adjustments and then they get hot. That's what we see. Like, I'm kind of reiterating, I'm kind of rephrasing what you said, but like, that's the reality of baseball. And you have to be adaptive to, changes. And if you can change well, then it goes to show how good of a hitting coach you have. Just because the offense has scored 1 run in its past hypothetical 3 games doesn't really mean it's on the hitting coach. I think it's a stupid argument to make. Like, calm down. If they really think the hitting philosophy is bad, then they would fire him. He would have
They
been
would have fired
he
him
would
in
have
the
been fired a
offseason.
while ago.
Yeah, while ago, right?
And you're right. It's an off-season move, except if you're the Texas
Yeah.
Rangers, you fire your hitting coach yesterday. So I think
I'm not saying it can't happen, but like not when the Red Sox offense is doing what it's doing.
right.
I think there's kind of that to it. Now, the Rangers are a little bit in a, I don't want to say a different spot, but like kind of are in some ways because their offense, they're 17 and 18, right? Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
the Red Sox, they're 18 and 18. So you think, somewhat similar. The Rangers pitching, their starting pitching has been very good. Their offense has been miserable. They're bottom 5 in average, on base, OPS, and runs scored. Then they're 19th in home runs. Like, that has been their offense has not been good this year so far, right? Like, has really not been good. And I mean, if you just go by the numbers, like, Wyatt Langford's been really good, but I mean, Jock Peterson has a -4 weighted runs created plus. Marcus Semien has a 49 weighted runs created plus, right? Adolis Garcia has an 82 weighted runs created plus. Like, it's not there, right? They're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Smith has also been solid for them, but like,
It's Josh Smith.
yeah, like, you know, they already sent Jake Berger down to the minor leagues. Like,
I feel like that's a little different though. That's kind of apples and oranges
no, but I'm
because
saying like in terms of like the Rangers firing their or what they call their offensive coordinator, well, compared to the
whatever
Red Sox,
title he had,
like
yeah.
whatever stupid title they gave, as opposed to the Red Sox firing Pete Fatsi, it's kind of like it's apples and oranges because like the Rangers offense has sucked. Like I said, they're bottom 5 in 4 of those big categories. The Red Sox are top 10 in all the major categories, right? So, like, I don't know what, like, that's the thing. It's like it would be stupid for the Red Sox to do it, albeit even if it is, like even if they are a streaky team, like, oh well, like the Red Sox have been streaky. It feels like for since like this entire decade, pretty much so far. The 2020s, maybe it's the 2020s are the decade of streakiness for the Red Sox offense, right? 2020 doesn't count. The year's a throwaway year, whatever. But like 2021, that team was streaky. 2022, that team was streaky. 2023, they were streaky.
But I really think this happens to all teams, not just the Red Sox.
Yeah, but like it feels like it's been a. But here's the point I'm gonna make. It feels like it's a decade of streakiness. But like, do you also you also probably realize or let's put it like this: the 2018 Red Sox, right, won 108 games. They won 108 games. You know how consistent you have to be to win 108 games? Stupid. It's stupid, right? And did that team have yes, their offense wasn't always hot the entire year. But when you're winning 108 games in a season, those cold points are very much kind of subdued in some ways because you're winning so many games. If the Red Sox offense went cold, but they were winning games 2-1, 3-2, whatever, it wouldn't be a big deal. But because Justin Slayton, I know pitcher wins and losses don't mean anything. Justin Slayton picked up, okay.
Losses for a reliever matter, in my opinion. Go on.
I'd say blown saves are arguably more important. But besides the point, Justin Slayton had 2 losses all of last year. He had 3 this week. Like,
That's crazy.
that's that says something, right? Like right there, like right there in it. Like this team is been like, and yeah, that bullpen pitching, I feel like is always going to be streaky in some sense.
Oh, of course.
But it's weird though because like typically like in the bullpen, like one guy gets cold, but maybe another guy gets hot, and it mixes around. But like at the end of the day, like performance is somewhat around the same. But like Slayton pitched in 3 games this past week. He got a loss in all 3 of those games. Like okay, like that's kind of crazy. And then just think at it too. Like you think at Garrett Whitlock picked up 2 blown saves this week, right? Like that doesn't like those are your two guys who are supposed to be 2 of your most important relievers. And last week we talked about how good the back on the bullpen has been, and it feels like this week, outside of Chapman, who only pitched once, it just kind of fell flat on its face. Um, so I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
There's here's the other question too, right? Here's the other question too. I think that this White Sox team. Here's another reason why they really can't swing a big move for a first baseman. What in the living blue hell do you do whenever Masataka Yoshida's healthy?
We give
Because
him a
by
first
the
baseman.
by the time he's healthy, Roman Anthony's probably going to have had at least another month in AAA. So is Marcelo Meyer. What in the blue hell are you going to do? Like, does Devers have to play first base just because they don't have spots? Is Devers going to want or be willing to do that, right? I'm not saying they should put him at first, but, like, is it going to be something where they have to ask him because they got nobody else, right? Is it going to have to be, hey, can you take one for the team for the rest of this year, play some first base for us? And, like, who knows, right? Because, like, what are they, like, who, like, that's the issue. Like, they are, like, especially if Yoshida has to DH, like, what are you going to do? Just sit him on your bench the entire time? Like, you know, because Devers is going to DH every day, and if Yoshida has to DH, but Devers is DHing,
Well,
like, they're
well,
stuck
they
in a.
said they said
I
when
know
you
they want Yoshida
yeah,
to play outfield. I know they
but
want Yoshida to play outfield, but it brings up the whole. But like I said, by the time Yoshida's ready, Roman's gonna have another month in AAA. So is Marcelo Meyer, right? Those guys are gonna be really knocking on the door. They already are somewhat knocking on that door.
oh, absolutely.
And then you
They've been
have
knocking on the
Duran and
door since
Rafaela
spring
and
training, dude.
no, I know, but that's the point I'm making.
But
It's
I know
like
the point. I get, but I think also you got to look at. Do you think outside the box maybe a little bit? Like, do you give a Christian Campbell a first baseman?
no, absolutely not.
I don't know. Then where the heck do you put Meyer?
You figure it out.
You
Maybe
figure
it's
it
a
out.
case of depending on how Story looks. Maybe Meyer just goes and plays short, right? Who knows,
Or does
right?
story play like the story play first?
No, absolutely not. But maybe Story gets moved to the bench, right? Like, I mean, Story's what 2 for his last 50 million.
He's another example of streaky.
Streakiness, exactly. But at the same time, too, with his health and the fact that like he is extremely streaky, do they maybe go, oh, we're gonna sit you on the bench if the cold stretch really continues. We're gonna roll with Meyer, and then when you get hot, we'll put you in the lineup. Like, I don't know. I'm just like hypothesizing, right? This is like way down the line in like June, July, whatever. But like by the time Yoshida's ready, like they are gonna
Well,
have to ask. They are. I'm just saying, by the time Yoshida's ready, they are gonna have to ask themselves the question of, is Rafi gonna have to play first base? Because you can't. Yoshida looks like he can barely throw. Like there was the one video of him throwing. He makes throws the ball and he goes up my shoulder, like you know, right? Like Yoshida might just have to DH. And like, here's the thing: do this Red Sox offense be better if Yoshida DH and Devers played first base? Yes. The question they would have to answer if Rafi would be willing to play first base is, does it make you a better team? Because defensively, that might be a struggle with Rafi at first base. But will it make you a better team? They have to answer that because the thought process with Kyle Schwarber playing first base is the bat is needed so desperately it will make you a better team even if the defense struggles, right? But Bobby Dahlbeck was not the best defensive first baseman in the world either. You might be looking at a similar situation where Casas, we know, was kind of when he was coming up, the kind of rap on him was like, he'll be a solid defensive first baseman. In the big leagues, he's had his struggles defensively at first base at times. A lot of that is range dependent because, like, you look at his output average, it's negative. He's a big dude. He's not moving, right? There's a reason why he never stuck at third base even in the pros. There's a reason for that. But, like, they're going to have to ask the question, does Rafi at first base make you a better team? Not does it make Rafi better. Not does it make Masaka Yoshida's situation better. Not does it, what does it make the team better? If the answer is yes, and Rafi's willing, they're going to have to consider it. Because that saves you a move at the deadline as well. You don't have to give up pieces to do that. Even now, they don't have to give up pieces to do that. They're gonna at some point they are going to have to ask that question. Does it make you a better team if Rafi plays first base, even if it's just for the rest of this year? They're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah, you gotta think about it. It's like, what if another injury happens? That's a huge what if, right?
And it doesn't mean Rafi. I'm not saying Rafi should be playing first base, but they're gonna have to ask themselves that question.
Right. I think it would be foolish for them not to consider it, but I think it's one of those. There's another. Let's see what happens and
Yes.
worry about it. Derek, you always say, worry about it when you need to worry about it. Worry about this when you need to worry about this.
Yeah.
But I think this is a little bit of a special case, knowing that your first baseman is out for the foreseeable future, and maybe you have to think outside the box, and you have to prepare for, Abraham Toro. Like I keep like harping on Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez can only carry your team at first base for so long. Like that's a reality. You have to be prepared for like what comes next. And is it someone like a Trevor Story stepping up and say, "Hey, I know Meyer's ready, right? And I'm willing to get a first baseman if it's what works best for the team."
Odds are that's not going to happen,
but that's not. But
yes,
I wouldn't rule that out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't rule that out. The likelihood less than 1%. But the fact is, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if someone wants to step up and help the team long term. Heck, like I said, maybe it's the Wong idea I've had. Like
we're seeing Javi Baez play center field.
Javi Baez plays center field. That was kind of a need, but
like, dude, Javi Baez was a Gold Glove caliber shortstop. Now he's playing center field because Detroit ain't got no one to play outfield because everyone's injured apparently. Like that's a different set of circumstances in Detroit, but it was a dire circumstance. They needed somebody who could play center field. Up steps Javi Baez, and he's top 20 in F4 in the American League, and he's top 10 in B-WAR, right? Like, Javi Baez, like, the one we clown on for being terrible with that big old contract, has been a good baseball player this season, playing center field, playing plus defense, might I add, in center field, when last year he was a negative defensive shortstop.
Mm-hmm. But
right? Like,
it's crazy. It's insane to me.
Like I said, it might have to be something, like I said, they're going to have to consider the Devers just because this is the face of the team, but are they, like I said, is that going to be what's best for the team? I'm sure if Cora is on board with it, at some point they could get Rafi on board, right? Because I feel like Rafi would very much trust Cora. Also, too, like, in some sense for Rafi, like, they're paying him good. He hits homers. What else do you need in life? Do you remember that video clip?
I do. It was, yeah, I love that. They pay me well, I hit homers. Or it was the other way around.
Like, it might, I mean, it would, Rafi probably wouldn't love the idea of playing first base, but like I said, I'm sure they get him on board. And also, too, his mentor was someone in Xander Bogaerts who was very much due for the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but okay, I think I think that's enough first base talk. I think we gotta talk a little bit about what happened this week more in depth. For now, I mean, we're kind of running short on time, but I think it's worth saying all these Red Sox losses were winnable games, very winnable.
Is that a negative thing or a positive thing? Because at least they didn't get totally blown out, but like,
way to look on the bright side, I guess. But like, you're up 6-0. You should win that game. You should intentionally walk Vladdy. You should. You shouldn't have blown yesterday's game where you had the lead and then bad defense. David Hamilton blew the game. Well, not directly, but kind of indirectly. And we harp on the defense thing. The defense has been solid. Like this week, it was solid. Like I didn't look. Usually I have it up how many errors the Red Sox made this week. I think yesterday, May 4th, may the 4th be with everybody, anyone who celebrates, the Red Sox had one error. Should have been two, unless they changed that one. Saturday, they had None. Friday, they had 1. Thursday, I think they were off. Or no, they weren't. They had none. They had on Wednesday, none. Tuesday, they had none. Monday, they had off. So it's getting better, but boy, they made some of these defensive mistakes count. Right? It's bad. It, like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. These were winnable games. You wasted a Giolito start. Giolito, by the way, looked really good. Who's starting tomorrow, and Derek and I, weather permitting, will be there. So if they lose, you'll know why. I think the other thing is too. I think you have to win. I'm tired of this bullshit where they win the first game, then lose the next 2/3. Just I they're a better team than this, and I this was an interesting argument that was posed in one of my group chats that I'm in, one of the many Red Sox group chats I'm in. This team has a lot of the same DNA as years past, right? Losing winnable games early against bad teams. Then when you have to play the good teams, then it's where you stumble. Then it's where they fall apart, right? It's a lot of the same here, where the Red Sox have played the most games against teams under 500. They're 15-15. Just wait until you play the games against the good teams. The stretch coming up is against a lot of good teams after you play Texas. A lot of it is against these. And, to people's credit, are there like any insane teams right now? No, but I think more games against teams above 500 thing is a little bit misleading in a way because it's early. The Reds, that the Yankees are only 5 games above 500 or 4 games above 500 now because they lost yesterday, I believe.
Also,
Hold
too,
on.
we also taking the fact that there are
Yeah.
teams that are underperforming, right? You would believe the Rangers are probably going to be better than 500. At least you would think with the talent they have. Minnesota, I know they're 15-20 right now, but you could make the argument that's a team that should be around 500, if not potentially better. Obviously, some teams have to underperform, but for example, the Braves are 15-18 right now. That doesn't.
But they're the Braves. We know what they
That's what
can
I'm
do.
saying, though. But that's
Right.
what I'm saying. It feels like all the teams that are really really good just all stacked in the NL West. Like the Dodgers 23-11, Padres 22-11, Giants are 22-13, and then even the Cubs in the Central is 21-14, and then the Mets obviously 22-13. But in the American League, there's no real runaway teams. The Mariners are 20-13, but they've won 16 of their last 20 or something stupid like that.
The Diamondbacks are 2 games above 500.
Yeah. And they're 4th place in their division too. Also, the Rockies stink.
The
Leave it to the
Rockies are
Red Sox. They're gonna lose.
generationally ass.
They're gonna lose a series to the Rockies. Watch it. I'm calling it. They're losing
Who's
a
the
series to the Rockies.
Is that coming up?
Don't know when. At some point. Probably not soon.
It's at home too, so we'll see.
Oh,
But anyways, point being, I think a lot of I was making the point where a lot of this team has a lot of the same identity as years past, right? The thing about this year is when you see the Red Sox having a big stretch like this, man, oh man, they can be a pain to play against. Derek, you say this all the time. If the Red Sox make the postseason, they're gonna be a pain in the butt to face. Can you vouch for me, Derek? They will be a pain.
Oh, they absolutely will. They'll be a pain in the ass to play against.
Yes.
Do you want to really play a team that has Garrett Crochet to start at least 2 games in the series? To start 2 games in the series, then you have, potentially a mix of, Houck, Bayo, Bueller, Giolito,
Remind me, how good is
Crawford,
Walker Bueller in the playoffs?
Dobbins, Sandoval. Yeah, but they're starting. Oh, really good. But you have the amount of options they have is stupid. Then you get to the bullpen. Chapman throwing fireballs. Slayton and Whitlock can be dynamic, right? You have Liam Hendricks, who his last couple of appearances has looked solid. Uh, you add in just to kind of mix the guys like a Luis Guerrero and Bernardino, Weiser, Wilson, etc. Kind of just mixing those guys in. Obviously, if they're a playoff team, they're going to be adding at the deadline. Maybe they add another reliever to the mix, right? Like they're going, and then that lineup gets hot. Like hold on to your damn horses. Like Durant, Devers, Bregman, Story, Freyu, Campbell. Like hell, let's add in Roman and Marcelo.
Narvaez.
Why the hell not? Well, they can whoever's catching, right? Like whether it's Wong, Narvaez, etc. Right? But then you add in maybe you add in a Roman and a Marcelo, right? Like Yoshida potentially gets into that mix and something. Like yeah, injury's going to happen. Other guys are going to get injured, but like the scariness of that the Red Sox when they're hot, like they would be scary to play against. They would be scary to play against.
Right. But my point being, simply, they have to get there. And I said
They
this
have
last
to.
week, and I will say it again. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But man, oh man, you want to take some of these winnable games. They're like, what? They have 9 losses in one-run games this year. Did I see that right? Something like that. And a bunch of them
Yeah,
came
something
again
like that.
in the past week. Both losses against the Twins were one-run losses. Even the Blue Jays. Like, oh no, fun fact too. The last time the Red Sox had a grand slam was September of 2023. I don't know why. Like every time I see the bases loaded, I'm like, are they gonna hit a grand slam? And then I just realized, no, they're not. Makes no sense. But anyways, they're I think they're in a spot where, back to my overall point, which is taking me fucking forever to make. I think I think this team is basically the same as years past, has a lot of the same DNA. But what they got more fight, they got more firepower, and they show they can. They've shown early on that they can light the world on fire. Like literally being an insane team, they can do that. They're 18-18 right now, worse than last year. Which, if you told me that early on, I'd think you're crazy. But who knows? You want to be good against to be the best, Derek. To be the best, you have to beat the best. If they can turn it on against these good teams, watch the frick out in the at the end of the season. The bullpen has a lot of concerns. Slayton's ERA is up to 6.57. Whitlock does not look that sharp, but there are other positives, like Chapman's the closer that we didn't think was possible. He's back to his rookie year almost. Liam Hendricks has looked good. Weisert's looks solid. Guerrero's still in the minors. I think they're going to be okay. But you would like a guy like Chris Martin here so bad. Like this is a spot where you would miss him a lot. But point being, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Definitely. With that, the Red Sox have a very interesting week coming up. The Red Sox play the Rangers for 3, and then they go on the road for 3 against the Kansas City Royals. The Tuesday night matchup is Lucas Giolito and Nathan Eovaldi. Wednesday
Oh
night will
really?
be
She don't rain.
Wednesday will be Tanner Houck and Tyler Mahle. Molly's been really good this year. And then the Thursday game will be Brian Bayo against Jack Leiter. The Kansas City series will start with Hunter Dobbins on the bump for the Red Sox, with the Royals pitching Michael Lorenzen. And then it's the battle of the aces, Garrett Crochet and Cole Reagans. And then the Sunday game, it's a 2-start week for Lucas Giolito, as Giolito will be going up against Seth Lugo. Jason.
Hi.
What do you have for the week for the Red Sox? What is your prediction?
So what, 6 games? Did I do the
6
math right?
games. Yes. 3-3 is the series. 3 games against Texas, 3 games against the Royals. 3 games and 3 games.
What's the Royals record? Where is the Royals?
The Royals
record? They are 19
and
and 16. The Rangers are 17 and 18. Screw it. 4 and 2. Big rebound week from the boys. Why? I don't know. If it does, it should. We should be fine for the game tomorrow. The night it's supposed to rain in the morning and early afternoon, and then it's supposed to lighten up a little bit.
Yeah. I feel it's a three. It feels like a 3-3 week to me, and hopefully by shooting low, maybe they'll just overachieve and then we'll come back happy next week. So that's what I'm going for. 3-3. Also, kind of feel there's a lot of interesting pitching matchups. Giolito, the opposing side of his matchup is Eovaldi and then Seth Lugo, both his games. Facing Molly. Molly's been really good this year. You also have, Reagans that you have to face. I know the Red Sox are pitching Crochet in that game, but we'll
Crochet
see
on the
how.
road is much better.
Yeah, but we'll see how it all pans out. But it'll be interesting. I'm going with 3-3. So with that, that's a perfect time to end it.
Don't we have a lull moment of the week?
Do we?
I thought we determined that early on, didn't we?
Maybe. I don't even
The
remember
Kike
anymore.
Hernandez.
Oh, yeah, Kike pitching with the pitcher's helmet. There's your lull moment of the week. I'm sure everyone's already seen it by now. Yeah, Kike pitching with the pitcher's helmet. All right, there you go. That's it. That's wrapping it up. So, as always, for Jason, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning into the Family Focus, and we will see you next time.
Go Sox.